Chandler, Arizona, sweltering heat, air thick, heavy. Another scorching summer day, inside cool, dark, sanctuary from the sun. My haven, my gaming room. Giant screen flickered. Controller vibrated in my hand, lost in another world, oblivious, unaware. Danger lurked just around the corner. Hours melted away. Sun dipped below the horizon. Stomach rumbled. Time for a pizza run. Reluctantly, I paused my game, emerged from my darkened cave, blinked against the sudden light, drove the familiar route to Tony's Pizzeria, ordered my usual. An unsettling feeling crept in. Someone was watching me. The day had started like any other. I woke up, grabbed a quick breakfast, and settled into my gaming chair. The hours flew by as I immersed myself in the virtual world. My fingers danced over the controller, executing complex moves and strategies. The clock ticked away unnoticed, the outside world fading into oblivion. My room, my sanctuary, was dimly lit by the glow of the screen. Empty soda cans and snack wrappers littered the floor, evidence of my dedication. I was in the zone, completely absorbed in the game. The thrill of victory and the agony of defeat played out in rapid succession. As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across my room, I barely noticed. My focus was unbroken, my concentration unwavering. It wasn't until my stomach growled loudly that I realized how much time had passed. The sun had set, and the room was now cloaked in darkness. With a heavy sigh, I reluctantly paused my game. My body protested as I stood up, muscles stiff from hours of inactivity. I stretched, feeling the tension ease slightly. It was time to venture out, to leave my cocoon and face the real world, if only for a short while. Stepping outside, I was momentarily blinded by the brightness. The contrast between the darkened room and the outside world was jarring. I blinked rapidly, trying to adjust. The fresh air felt strange, almost foreign, as I took a deep breath. It was a stark reminder of how long I had been inside. I got into my car and drove the familiar route to Tony's Pizzeria. The streets were quiet, the usual hustle and bustle of the day replaced by a serene calm. I passed by familiar landmarks, each one a silent witness to my nightly routine. The drive was almost automatic, my mind still half in the game. Arriving at Tony's, I walked in and ordered my usual. The staff knew me well, my frequent visits making me a regular. As I waited for my order, an unsettling feeling crept in. It was as if someone was watching me, their gaze heavy and unrelenting. I glanced around but saw nothing out of the ordinary. The feeling persisted, gnawing at the edges of my mind. I tried to shake it off, attributing it to my overactive imagination. When my order was ready, I grabbed the pizza and hurried back to my car. The sense of unease lingered, a shadow that refused to be dispelled. On the drive back, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being followed. I glanced in the rearview mirror repeatedly, but saw nothing unusual. The streets were empty, the night quiet, yet the sensation of being watched clung to me, an invisible presence that made my skin crawl. Finally, I arrived home and quickly went inside. The familiar surroundings offered some comfort, but the unease remained. I locked the door behind me, the sound of the bolt sliding into place oddly reassuring. I took a deep breath, trying to calm my racing heart. Back in my room, I settled into my chair and opened the pizza box. The aroma was comforting, a small slice of normalcy in an otherwise strange night. I took a bite, savoring the taste. The game awaited, but the feeling of being watched lingered, a mystery yet to be solved. Quick stop at the grocery store. Needed milk for my late-night gaming session. Grabbed a carton, turned to leave, froze. He stood at the end of the aisle, tall, gaunt figure, long, greasy hair, eyes that seemed to burn into me. Hurried out of the store, heart pounding, couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Back home, pizza devoured. Back to my game. Tried to forget the stranger's eyes, but something was off. Game glitched, strange whispers through my headphones. My character started moving on its own. The day had started like any other. I had gone to the local game store to pick up the latest release. The store was bustling with excited gamers, but there was something unsettling about the atmosphere. As I browsed the shelves, I felt a pair of eyes on me. I turned around, but no one seemed to be paying any particular attention. Shrugging it off, I made my purchase and left the store. As I walked home, the feeling of being watched persisted. Every shadow seemed to move, every passerby seemed to glance a little too long. My heart raced and I quickened my pace, eager to get back to the safety of my home. Once inside, I locked the door behind me and took a deep breath, trying to calm my nerves. I decided to distract myself with some comfort food. I ordered a pizza and devoured it as soon as it arrived. The cheesy goodness helped to settle my nerves and I felt a bit more at ease. With a full stomach, I turned my attention to the new game I had just bought. I booted up my console and started the game. The graphics were stunning and the gameplay was immersive. For a while, I managed to forget about the strange feeling I had earlier. But as the game progressed, things started to go wrong. The screen glitched, and strange whispers began to emanate from my headphones. At first I thought it was just a bug in the game. But the whispers grew louder and more distinct. They seemed to be saying something, but I couldn't make out the words. My character, which I'd been controlling with precision, started to move on its own. It was as if someone else had taken over. Panic set in. I tried to regain control, but nothing worked. The whispers became more insistent, almost as if they were trying to communicate with me. I felt a chill run down my spine. This was no ordinary glitch. Something was very, very wrong. I yanked off my headphones and stared at the screen, my heart pounding in my chest. The game continued to play itself, the character moving through the virtual world with a mind of its own. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was no longer alone in my room. The stranger's eyes from the store flashed in my mind. What had I brought home with me? I turned off the console and sat in the dark, trying to make sense of what had just happened. The whispers still echoed in my ears, and the feeling of being watched was stronger than ever. I knew I had to find out what was going on, but I was terrified of what I might discover. The night was just beginning and the whispers were only getting louder. Unease turned to dread. Turned off the game. Silence, too quiet. A noise, a floorboard creaked. Out in the hallway. Slowly, I got up, heart hammered in my chest, peeked out the door. A shadow flickered at the end of the hall. Adrenaline surged. Flung open the door. "Who's there?" My voice cracked. The figure turned. My blood ran cold. It was him, the stranger from the store. His eyes glinted in the darkness. A cruel smile spread across his face. He lunged. I stumbled back, tripped, fell hard. He stood over me, triumphant. Then he was gone, vanished. I scrambled to my feet, raced through the house, completely empty. Section 8 paranoia sets in, called the police. They searched, found nothing. No sign of forced entry, no evidence, they left. I was alone, with my fear, and the chilling certainty that he was still out there, watching, waiting. Section 9. Living in fear. Couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. Every creak of the house, every whisper of the wind sent shivers down my spine. The game sat untouched. My sanctuary had become my prison. He had taken something from me. My peace of mind, my sense of security. The nights were the worst. The darkness seemed to amplify every sound, every shadow. The ticking of the clock was a constant reminder of the passing time, each second dragging on like an eternity. I would lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing with thoughts of what had happened. The wind outside seemed to whisper secrets, secrets that I was too afraid to uncover. Every gust felt like a cold hand reaching out to touch me, to remind me of the fear that had taken hold of my life. The once comforting sound of the wind had turned into a haunting melody that played on repeat. Eating had become a chore. The thought of food made my stomach turn. I would sit at the table, staring at the plate in front of me, unable to bring myself to take a bite. The fear had seeped into every aspect of my life, leaving me feeling hollow and empty. The game, once my escape from reality, now sat untouched. The screen, which had once brought me joy and excitement, now seemed to mock me. It was a reminder of the life I had before, a life that felt so distant and unreachable. My sanctuary had become my prison, a place where I was trapped by my own fear. He had taken something from me, something that I could never get back. My peace of mind, my sense of security had been ripped away, leaving me vulnerable and exposed. Every shadow seemed to hide a threat, every noise a potential danger. I was living in a constant state of fear, unable to find solace in anything. I would spend hours looking out the window, searching for some sign of hope, some indication that things would get better. But all I saw was the same bleak landscape, a reflection of the turmoil inside me. The world outside seemed just as cold and unforgiving as the one within. I tried to make sense of it all, to find some way to cope with the fear that had taken over my life. I would write in my journal, pouring out my thoughts and feelings, hoping that putting them on paper would somehow lessen their hold on me. But the fear remained, a constant companion that refused to let go. Living in fear had become my new reality. It was a heavy burden to bear, one that weighed me down and made every day a struggle. But I held on to the hope that one day I would find a way to reclaim my peace of mind, to break free from the prison of fear that had taken over my life. Section 10, Unanswered Questions. Weeks turned into months. The fear remained, a constant companion. Who was he? Why me? What did he want from me? The questions haunted me every night. Answers seemed forever out of reach. Section 11. The Stranger's Gaze. Life moved on, but I never forgot. The encounter seared into my memory, and sometimes in the dead of night, I would feel it again, that cold, piercing gaze, watching me from the shadows.